means a lot as well. So definitely a blessing to be in this position right now.
The Oregon native in the Home Run Derby next Monday night. Adley Rutschman looks to be the third O's player to win it. Cal Ripken Jr. won in 1991, followed by Miguel Tejada in 2004. Trey Mancini was the last bird to complete in the Derby 2 years ago. He finished second. You can watch Adley and his teammates Austin Hayes, Yennier Cano, and Felix Bautista in the Midsummer Classic next Tuesday night, only on Fox 45. The All-Star Game coverage starts at 7.
And we remain under weather alert. Area-wide, there is a severe thunderstorm watch that continues until 10 p.m. Still tracking some storms that are just now beginning to move in into northwestern portions of Carroll County, down toward, say, Taneytown, back to Walkersville in Frederick County, and also just south of the Anne Arundel County line. Now we've got another severe thunderstorm warning in Calvert County, but just missing our viewing area. There's still some rain and maybe some lightning and thunder going on well south of Annapolis. Now, by tomorrow, there is lesser chance of rain. This is good news for the July 4th fireworks if you have any plans. 84 degrees, just an outside chance, maybe a 20% chance of a patchy spot storm here or there. But I think it's mainly rain-free and just muggy with temperatures in the 70s and the 80s there. And for July 4th, during the day, if you're going to be doing some picnics or some parades in the morning, it looks like it's sticky, steamy, but not a whole lot of chance of rain. Again, just a pop-up storm during the afternoon that should be out mainly by fireworks time.
Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, continuing coverage of the mass shooting in South Baltimore, the search for suspects and why police weren't on the scene as they have been in years past. Also, we're following two breaking stories. The latest on a bomb squad investigation in Baltimore as we learn more on a double shooting in Baltimore County.
A mass shooting Sunday in southwest Baltimore, leaving 2 dead, dozen more injured. The latest on the victims' manhunt and BPD response. We have team coverage coming up. Fox 45 tracking 2 breaking stories. The latest on bomb squad investigation near the Inner Harbor as we learn more about a double shooting in Baltimore County.
And another day of the extended holiday weekend and another risk of severe weather. Severe thunderstorm watch is out and we are under weather alert. I'm tracking it hour by hour right here on the HT radar. Coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. Tonight, we are learning new information following Sunday's mass shooting in South Baltimore. 2 people were killed, 28 others hurt as the search for suspects continues. Our team of reporters will have complete coverage in just a moment. But first, we're on weather alert as a line of storms moves into our area. Tonight, the region braces for some damaging wind, heavy rain, even the possibility of some hail. Looking live at our weather radar there on the left, the Inner Harbor and Towson cams. Things remain pretty calm for now. Let's go right to Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers with the latest. Jonathan.
And Mary, the periphery of our viewing area now beginning to, they're not severe yet, but get blasted by some thunderstorms with potentially heavy rain. Severe thunderstorm watch continues the entire area. That's through 10 p.m. But take a look here around Taneytown, Harney, Littlestown, right across that Pennsylvania line and into extreme northwestern portions of Carroll County. There's some pretty nasty looking cells there, and then we'll take you down south of Annapolis, south of Selby on the Bay. And in fact, here in Calvert County for this, there's a severe thunderstorm warning, but around Deal, as well as Almar Estates, Leon, as well as Ashwood Manor, there's some pretty good rainers going on with some pretty nasty storms there as well in the reds, the oranges, and the yellows. So take cover if you're in those areas. For now, Baltimore safe, but that will not be the case over the next couple of hours. The potential of large hail as well as damaging gusty winds with any storms that develop. Could even see a downpour too and an isolated, very low, but not 0% chance of a tornado popping up here or there. Now, the future scan says as we work through about 7 to 8 o'clock, there are some of your cells beginning to move in by about 8:30. Rain and thunderstorms building in for any outdoor plans that you may have on the deck or the patio. I'll let you know how things look all the way through July 4th. Maybe some signs of positivity coming our way. That's going to be in my breakdown of my Weather Authority forecast.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, the search is on for multiple shooters in the mass shooting in Brooklyn early Sunday morning. And tonight we are learning the city council is calling a hearing July 13th to get to the bottom of the response. Our team of reporters has every angle covered with the timeline and response from city and state leaders. We begin with Keith Daniels and the latest on the investigation.
Well, the mayor and acting police commissioner say it's now all about finding the shooters responsible for this tragedy and holding them accountable. I say shooters because at the news conference today, acting police commissioner Rich Worley says there's ballistic evidence indicating that there were multiple firearms used in this incident, at least 2 or 3 weapons used. Police say they're trying now to identify individuals that they want to speak to, persons of interest that could lead to suspects. Now, investigators are relying on all of that cell phone video that many individuals captured during that deadly incident. But for now, the search is on for suspects, and there's a public plea from Mayor Brandon Scott and police.
We won't stop until we find those responsible and hold them accountable. We won't. With that said, we need the help of our residents and anyone that knows anything to come forward and say something.
Right now, our detectives are still working through interviewing every one of the victims. We will continue to pursue any leads. So that's why we need the help from the community, because we have only touched some of the video that's out there.
Well, as mentioned, police say they are talking to the victims from this incident, trying to get suspect information, and police say many of them are cooperating despite that so-called stop snitching attitude that's notoriously infamous in some parts of Baltimore. At City Police Headquarters, Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
This mass shooting continues this year's disturbing trend of children and teens finding themselves at the center of violent situations, both as suspects and victims. In addition to the 2 young people who were killed, a total of 15 juveniles were shot. That number includes 2 13-year-olds, 1 14-year-old, 3 15-year-olds, 5 16-year-olds, and 4 17-year-olds. And tonight we're also hearing from a family friend of one of the victims who says she was stunned by the shooting.
I was crying. I was devastated. My mom woke me up 4-something in the morning when I was asleep, saying that he was gone. I was like, what you mean he's gone? I was just with them.
Mayor Brandon Scott, meantime, pointing to a larger issue of gun violence in America, saying accessibility to firearms is the root cause of the issue, oftentimes obtained illegally.
A few people who cowardly decided to shoot up a big block party celebration for a community. That's where our focus should be, on them, the weapons they use, where they got those weapons from, how they got them in their hand, and how we're going to hold all of them accountable.
But when given a chance to pass stronger gun legislation this year in Annapolis, state leaders and lawmakers were slow to move their feet. Fox 45's Amy Simpson sharing the latest from that part of the debate.
Without suspects in custody or specifics of the weapons used, we don't know how they were obtained. But some are already pointing to illegal weapons as the problem here. Baltimore still reeling from a celebration turned crime scene. This video seen on social media appears to show a young man pulling a weapon out of a backpack at this weekend's Brooklyn Day block party. Baltimore Police Acting Commissioner addressing the video today.
That young man is a suspect in the crime because he had a weapon at the scene. Anyone who had a weapon at the scene will be one of our suspects until we eliminate that they are not.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say they've seen the video too.
The video that I was able to see was so fast, and I think that's the thing that was the scariest, is just how quickly, how many lives can get destroyed when guns are readily accessible.
The law clearly states that people under 18 may not possess a handgun. Furthermore, it is illegal to carry a handgun unless you have a permit to do so.
Office of Student Financial Aid.
Some eyes now turning to Annapolis and what laws might have helped prevent this. Earlier this year, during the legislative session in Annapolis, Democratic lawmakers spent time and energy passing Senate Bill 1, which placed limits on legal gun ownership in Maryland.
Well, I would hope that the public would look at that and see and know legal gun owners are not the problem. This is a problem with illegal gun ownership. That young boy who pulled that handgun out of a bag is illegal on so many fronts.
Again this year, Republicans introduced the Violent Firearms Offenders Act, but that legislation never made it out of committee. And just hours after Sunday's mass shooting,
We have a lot of laws on the books.
Maryland Senate President Bill Ferguson said he thinks more laws wouldn't have helped.
From what I gathered and saw, somebody that is willing to carry around a gun and then shoot up 30 people or several individuals, whether or not there's a new law passed in Annapolis isn't stopping that decision.
All right.
Meanwhile, Mayor Brandon Scott says Maryland lawmakers have passed some of the strictest gun laws in the country, instead blaming Congress.
You're talking about a country where it is easier for a 14-year-old kid to order pieces together to put a gun together and go out and use it in commitments of a crime than it is for me to get Claritin D from CVS. That's what we should be talking about every day in this country until those folks take action.
While we wait to learn if these were legal or illegal guns, today police said more than 2 or 3 weapons were used in early Sunday morning's mass shooting. Today, the police commissioner would not give more details, saying ballistics are still being done on those shell casings found at the scene. In Baltimore, Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
Fox 45 News was first on scene, and to break the news of the shooting, many were first to know through the Fox 45 News app and our push alerts. The app is free on Apple and Android platforms. Well, 2 people shot in Fells Point this morning. One of them was killed. A 33-year-old man was killed on Fleet Street around 3 in the morning. Police say he was pronounced dead when they arrived. About 20 minutes later, a 66-year-old man was shot along South Broadway. Police say he's currently in the hospital. Anybody with information asked to contact Baltimore police.
Fox 45 News is updating you on a pair of breaking news stories. The city police department's bomb squad is investigating a suspicious package at the building across from the Inner Harbor. It's home to PNC Bank and Kona Grill. At one point, Pratt Street was shut down between Charles and Light. Pratt has reopened. Also, there was a double shooting in Baltimore County. It happened on Hollands Ferry Road, south of the city-county line, near the BW Parkway, around 2:15. County police tell Fox 45 2 people arrived at a nearby hospital with gunshot wounds, but did not give their conditions. There's no suspect information at this time, but we will keep you updated on foxbaltimore.com. Mary?
Okay, thank you. Fox 45 pressing leaders on why police weren't at Sunday's block party to provide extra security. Their response coming up. And taking a live look at our weather radar as storms start to pop up north and south of us. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers tracking the potential for some severe weather tonight. Well, we continue our coverage into Sunday's mass shooting. The Brooklyn Block Party isn't a new event in Baltimore. City leaders handling it as a positive community tradition. And police have provided officers in years past, but not this time. BPD admitting it didn't know when the festival was until it began. The shooting was also in a Safe Streets zone, and Safe Streets workers were in attendance earlier in the day. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost asking police to explain why officers were not staffed at the event.
BPD says they didn't know that this Brooklyn Day event was taking place when it did, but we do know that some people inside City Hall did because there were Safe Streets workers who were here during the event. And we're pressing city leaders to try and find out where this apparent communication breakdown took place. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach in Brooklyn Monday morning. That was not the case as Saturday night turned into Sunday and chaos erupting. The annual Brooklyn Day turned into a nightmare.
When I first moved here, it was 1 or 2 altercations, but nothing at this magnitude.
Despite hundreds of people gathering for the party, there was little to no police presence. Acting BPD Commissioner Richard Worley says the event was unpermitted, but that isn't necessarily why the safety unraveled.
Last year, we found out about it 3 days ahead of time, and we were able to put together an ops plan. This year, we did not find out about it at all until the day of.
During Monday's update, we pressed him for clarity. Can you give us a time frame as to when you did find out about it, or do you have any indication as to when the department found out?
Yeah, it's the same. We are looking into that to find out when we found out. It was
but no specifics.
Several hours before the shooting. I can tell you that.
Brooklyn Day happening year after year after year. But Worley says his department couldn't figure out when this year's event was taking place. Fox 45 News also learning members of the Brooklyn Safe Streets, located just blocks away from the event, were on hand during the day. The interim director of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement telling Fox 45 3 to 4 incidents were mediated earlier on Saturday. Is it part of the Safe Streets protocol to relay that information to BPD if there is a potential threat that's possible at a large gathering like this?
I don't know that Safe Streets would relay that. I would say there is some level of communication about any incidents that are outside of their purview.
Former BPD Deputy Commissioner Jason Johnson echoing what appears to be a program operating without clarity.
Whatever protocols they work under, I think, are a secret. So I don't know that those protocols exist. If that's part of the problem with this whole program is that it's done kind of in the dark, and we don't really know what the rules are.
Those rules clearly not understood by everyone in City Hall. If BPD didn't know about this, but Safe Streets did, is that a breakdown in communication within the mayor's office and city government?
Again, Mackenzie, I'll just say this. We know that folks want to make narratives about this situation. The reality is that this is an action of a few who decided to shoot people. Safe Streets was not there, as you heard, when it happened.
Mayor Brandon Scott not answering the question about coordination, rather saying Safe Streets workers need to maintain their credibility in the community. Meanwhile, people are lining up to help this Brooklyn community, like Damon, who moved to the area just months ago. He doesn't want to show his face on camera, but says after 30 people were shot in his neighborhood,
I want my children out.
He's ready to leave the latest community ripped apart by gun violence in Baltimore. You can see BPD officers are still here on scene, but Acting Police Commissioner Worley reiterates that staffing was not the problem. He says had the department known about this ahead of time, they could have put a plan together. But again, there seems to be a lack of communication between public safety agencies like Monzi and the Baltimore Police Department. In South Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, Fox 45 News has been working to find out more about Safe Streets finances and the people hired to keep the peace. Earlier this year, after Fox 45 News threatened to sue, the city finally handed over contracts with the nonprofits operating the Safe Streets sites. The contracts revealed the nonprofits are required to pay for a criminal background check for all employees, contractors, and volunteers, but their names were redacted due to them not being city employees, but instead workers for the site operators.
All right, the Fox Triplecast this evening, Toyota East Harbor Skycam and the Mile 1000 cam. We've got some clouds and a little bit of kind of hazy sun mixed in, but overall still fairly quiet. But things are changing as our latest weather maker continues to incite a severe thunderstorm watch. That's until 10 p.m. for the entire area. Let's take a look here. There's, again, that severe thunderstorm watch until 10. But within that, there is a severe thunderstorm warning currently for portions of northern Calvert County, not necessarily in our immediate viewing area, but just south of the Anne Arundel County line. But some of that nasty weather is bleeding northbound. Just south of Annapolis. You can probably see it there in the distance, all the way north of Chesapeake Beach. Actually, it looks like the worst of the weather with this thing is north of the Chesapeake, or I should say the Chesapeake Beach area, but north of the Anne Arundel and Calvert County line. So keep that in mind over southern portions of Anne Arundel County. Some damaging winds, maybe even some hail potentially out of that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a warning issued soon. And then the area here that goes north and west of Westminster to Tawningtown, there's been a batch of rain and a couple rumbles in there. But overall, Baltimore has been playing it safe thus far, but things will likely change in the next couple of hours. We do with that, again, severe thunderstorm watch lasts until 10 p.m., so that's when we are under weather alert until. Large hail, potential damaging winds as well out of this. Could even add some brief heavy rain. And it's not a 0% chance, but it's a very low chance. Could be an isolated tornado here or there. Humidity has built in. It's been the same case day in, day out, past 2-3 days with the rain and the thunderstorms in the afternoon and that severe weather as well. We're getting another round now. Cold front is moving in from the west. When I say drying out in portions of the Midwest, doesn't mean that it's less humid necessarily. It means that there's less rain chance, and that's what comes at us for July 4th. So that's some good news. Right now, Toyota's Inner Harbor Skycam, mostly cloudy, 91, feels like 99. So we could use some rain to cool us down. Just don't want that severe weather. And again, some of those clusters of storms through 7:45 p.m. through 9:15. I think things will begin to diminish as we work through the overnight hours after midnight. There you go. Clears out and just in time for July 4th parades and picnics tomorrow. It's fairly quiet. Could see an isolated shower storm in the afternoon. Going to break down those chances in my exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Have you ever seen an EF2 tornado rip through a neighborhood? That's what happened in Chatham, Illinois last Thursday. This tornado stayed grounded around 9 miles with top wind speeds of 120 miles per hour. Notice, among other things, as it tears away the tree across the street.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
More than 3 years in and still no definitive answers on the origins of COVID-19. I'm Christine Frizzau on Capitol Hill, where Republicans say not nearly enough intelligence is being shared on the matter.
During the 2022 midterm election campaign, Republicans vowed should they win control of the House, a top focus would be launching their own investigation into the origins of COVID-19. Well, next week they will hold a hearing on the matter on the heels of a new report just released by the Biden administration. National correspondent Christine Frizzell brings us more on what to expect.
March 2021 marked a year since much of the world had shut down from COVID-19, when the former head of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said this to CNN.
I still think the most likely etiology of this pathogen in Wuhan was from a laboratory, escaped. Other people don't believe that. That's fine. Science will eventually figure it out.
But science still hasn't, in large part because China has not allowed researchers to obtain data and access they need. Meanwhile, the lab leak theory became political, but today remains one of just 2 theories on the origins of COVID-19, as laid out in a recent report released by the Biden administration, assessing that both a natural and laboratory-associated origin remain plausible hypotheses to explain the first human infection. Dr. Robert Redfield calling the report disappointing.
It really doesn't make any attempt to